To extract reliable shape information from scenes, the human visual system uses several mechanisms for determining relative depth information of objects. The cues on which these mechanisms rely are collectively called shape from X, where X is the visual property being exploited, for example shape from shading or shape from texture. Of the many available shape cues, only a few find common usage in interactive computer graphics, namely shading, texture, contours, and motion. We present an experiment to compare the effectiveness of these different shape cues in highly dynamic, interactive environments. This contrasts traditionally reductionist experiments which generally operate on static images only. Because many of the static shape perception tasks are impractical for a dynamic environment, we designed a straightforward interaction task requiring participants to touch moving objects projected onto a Merle diamond touch table. Participants are free to use any finger of either hand, as their entire body is rendered conductive via a grounding mat underneath their feet. All scene calculations and data collection takes place on a nearby computer. The experiment coordinator can monitor their performance on a secondary external monitor. Here we see a photograph of the actual setup. We considered 5 cases for our experiment: shading, outlines, shading combined with outlines, isoluminant texture, and non-isoluminant texture. Note, however, that outlines from depth discontinuities become evident on a uniformly colored background. To prevent these outlines from mixing with the actual shape cue under investigation, we add backgrounds matching the current rendering style. As demonstrated here, this completely eliminates spurious outlines and merges objects with the background. When objects are animated, they separate again from the background, but only due to motion, not outlines. Since motion is common to all rendering styles, and because we are interested in shape cues for dynamic scenes, this does not pose a problem. The shapes in our experiment are based on shape categories defined in Biedermann's recognition by components, or GEON theory. Specifically, we construct all objects by adding 2 pairs of attachments onto a larger main body. Both the attachments and the main body vary along 2 shape categories, yielding 16 different objects. To increase the difficulty of the visual search task, participants are asked to differentiate target objects from non-target objects only by their attachments, not the main body, which identifies 4 of the 16 objects as targets. Participants are instructed via several short text screens aided by visual examples. This is followed by a demonstration round in which all display modes are introduced, and participants can get used to the touch interaction. During the demo, feedback is given to ensure that participants have understood the task. Such feedback is not given during the actual experiment. Each participant performs 4 trials based on the different attachment shape categories, each trial using all display conditions, for a total time of about 20 minutes. We tested 21 participants, 8 female, 13 male, and find that in our dynamic shape experiment, simple Lambertian shading offers the best shape cue, followed by contours and lastly texturing. Our results further indicate that concurrent shape cues may not behave additively in a highly dynamic environment. In conclusion, our experiment is simple to implement, sensitive enough to detect significant differences between all single shape cues, as well as engaging and intuitive for participants. The experiment therefore allows further investigation into different shape categories, contour types like ridges and valleys, and texture parameterizations.